both of you, Drew and Kayla. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. How are you guys holding up?
I mean, right now we're in a nightmare. Doesn't feel real. We've been up all night crying, praying, waiting for family to come in. We have some family who has made it. We just right now lost for words, waiting for him to give us a call as
Mm.
soon as possible.
So you haven't heard from him just yet?
We heard from him yesterday. He actually suffered from seizures, so we actually have to bring his medicine to the courthouse. So we're waiting for them to give us instruction to get there.
We know Carmelo from the courtroom, but tell us, who is he? What kind of person is he? What kind of son is he at home?
He is a wonderful son. He's a wonderful student. Um,
3.7 GPA, worked 2 jobs. He, I
he's
mean,
I'm sorry, baby,
you're
for
good.
cutting you off. He was actually taking online classes during all of this
Mm.
and still held a great GPA going through this traumatic time.
He was a kid. If I didn't say it, he was a captain of a track team, football team. He was working 2 jobs. He actually saved the kid life. That the mom he jumped in the pool, which and saved the kid life, which was amazing. I didn't know how great he was until this this tragic
Yeah.
tragic.
All right, all praise to our Heavenly Father, the Most High Yah, the great I am that I am. Name of our Lord and Savior. Some of y'all call him Yahushua. Some of y'all call him Yahushua. Some of y'all call him Jesus. All right, so as we continue to cover this tragedy, what has happened between these two young men, where one ends up deceased and the other is now in jail, serving 35 years, right? The parents of Carmelo Anthony, recently come out, and on the Breakfast Club, as an interview in which they basically spoke for the first time and, shared their thoughts and opinions of the court case, right? And so I'm going to play a lot of that interview here, right? But we're going to do this and talk about things from a spiritual perspective, right? Because the bottom line is what you see online and what you got going all around, you know what I'm saying, is people who basically want to judge this situation based off of how they feel, right? And based off the narratives that have been put out here through the media. As you can see just now that the Anthonys are speaking up on behalf of their son, they paint a totally different picture of Carmelo from what we've been getting from the media. The media never told you that this young man had saved someone's life before. The media never told you. It was 3.7, GPA, he was working 2 jobs and the kid never had any record. You look at the media, oh, it was just this kid went to, this track meet, basically, to stab, Austin, right? The media didn't tell you, all of Austin's transgression, right? He's the victim, so he don't, they're not going to tell you all of the things that he had going on in his life, right? But, you know what I'm saying? And it wasn't good, right? But what we just know is this thing has once again brought division into this country, black versus white. Why? Because this country has had a history of railroading black people, of murdering black people, right? And then when you go to the justice system, black people get the short end of the stick, white people walk free. But anytime, that roles happen to be reversed, where a white person is the one who ends up dead, right? Now all of a sudden they understand what we feel. And usually they want blood. Just going to jail is not good enough for them. They want to see you hanging off trees, right? And we got the one guy, Jake Lang, who actually came out and said that, right? Now we'll talk about him as we get to it later on in this video. But anyway, this is what we're understanding about judgment. Judge, righteous, judgment, right? See, everybody now wants to talk law, self-defense laws, and all this type of stuff. But remember, the Bible is a book of laws, right? And this is why when you read the Bible, that's where your moral is supposed to come from. You're from the Bible, the written word of God, right? Because he gave a certain group of people, right, the children of Israel, laws in which they were supposed to run their nation with, right? This is why anytime you break those laws, that's called a sin, right? So, you know what I mean? Breaking the nation of Israel's law because God gave them that laws. Anytime you trespass, that was called sin, right? Same way now that we're over here in America, America has its own set of laws, right? And anytime you trespass it, it's called a crime, right? So this is what you have to understand when you read the Bible and you understand about the laws, the statutes, and commandments that the Most High gave to Israel. So, for example, I want to show y'all about, you know what I mean, the slayer and the avenger of blood, okay? Let's go in scripture and let's get us a couple verses, then we'll hop back into the video. All right. So when we go John chapter 7, verse 24, this is what Christ said, right? Yahushua, Jesus. Now, a lot of people claim to be Christians, but a lot of people don't understand Christian law, which is the law that were given to the Israelites, right? John 7 and 24, judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment, right? So that's why when in a situation such as this, technically you're supposed to, you know what I mean? If this country is supposed to be Judeo-Christian, right? They always say, well, we're Judeo-Christian values. Then why don't you do things in this country according to the laws that the Most High gave to the children of Israel, right? But we know they're not going to do that, because if they did do that, guess what would happen? A whole lot of them would have been killed for the things that they've already done. Now let's go talk about the slayer and the avenger of blood. All right, so as we go to Numbers chapter 35, verse 9 through 34, you're going to see basically how this case falls into this category. All right, verse 9, and the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, when you be come over Jordan into the land of Canaan, then you shall appoint you cities to be cities of refuge for you, that the slayer may flee thither, which killeth any person at unawares, right? And they shall be unto you cities for refuge from the avenger. Okay, so somebody who now wants to kill you based off of you killing, you know what I mean, their loved one, right? That the manslayer die not until he stand before the congregation in judgment. Okay, so you see, so if you kill somebody, you know what I mean, unawares or whatever, you know what I mean, and you flee, you're supposed to go to one of these cities of refuge, right? So you can be there until you go and stand before the congregation. So basically you go to prison or whatever until you can have your trial, okay? And of these cities which you shall give, 6 cities shall you have for refuge. And you shall give 3 cities on this side Jordan, and 3 cities shall you give in the land of Canaan, which shall be cities of refuge. These 6 cities shall be a refuge both for the children of Israel and for the stranger and for the sojourner among them. So for somebody who lives there who's not the children of Israel, or for somebody who just happened to be passing through the land, right? That everyone that killeth any person unawares may flee thither. Okay, so you really didn't mean to kill him. All right, you know what I'm saying? So guess what? You know what I mean? Now you're supposed to flee thither. But it says, and if he smite him with an instrument of iron so that he die, he is a murderer. The murderer shall surely be put to death. So that will be your judgment, right? And if he smite him with throwing a stone wherewith he may die, and he die, he is a murderer. The murderer shall surely be put to death, right? Or if he smite him with an hand weapon of wood, wherewith he may die, and he die, he is a murderer. The murderer shall surely be put to death. So you see the judgments, basically, you do this, you basically gonna die, right? So it'll be a whole lot of them dead. The same way they want blood, you know what I mean, Karmelo Anthony's blood, there's a whole lot of them will be dead for what they've done to us. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes to us, right, they want blood. But when it comes to them, they want mercy. This is why you see the hypocrisy in this country, right? Verse 19, the revenger of blood himself shall slay the murderer. So, you know, it's a male, the revenger of blood, basically is somebody, you know, that person who got killed, their loved one, that man, right? When he meeteth him, he shall slay him, right? But if he thrust him of hatred, or hurl at him by laying a weight, that he die, or in enmity smite him with his hand, that he die, he that smote him shall surely be put to death, for he is a murderer. The revenger of blood shall slay the murderer when he meeteth him, right? But if he thrust him suddenly without enmity, okay? So basically, if this person who basically killed somebody, right? If he did it with enmity, you know what I mean? He basically did it on purpose. He's a murderer. The revenger of blood shall slay the murderer, right? But if he thrust him suddenly without enmity, or have cast upon him anything without laying a weight, right? So basically, yeah, you thrust him, but you weren't trying to kill him, right? Or have cast upon him anything without laying a weight. So you just happened to throw a rock or something and it came down and landed on somebody and killed him, right? Or with any stone wherewith a man may die, seeing him not and cast it upon him that he die, and was not his enemy, right? Neither sought his harm, then the congregation shall judge between the slayer and the revenger of blood according to these judgments, right? See, the way they have painted this picture in the media was that Karmelo went to this track meet where he had enmity against Austin and basically wanted to kill him, right? Which he did not do, right? Because when Karmelo took off running, he, he asked the police officer, is he okay? He's going to be okay, right? He's just trying to, from, his reaction, you can see he wasn't trying to kill the man, He basically, was fleeing, trying to get away from him, right? Because they came up there and confronted him. And that's what you're going to see in this video, right? But anyway, now it's supposed to go to the congregation, and the congregation is supposed to judge between the slayer and the revenger of blood according to these judgments. But what we seen was a kangaroo court that they put out here, right? Verse 25, and the congregation shall deliver the slayer out of the hand of the revenger of blood, and the congregation shall restore him to the city of his refuge, whither he was fled, right? So, Karmelo, if America had cities of refuge, he would now have to live in the city of refuge, right? If the congregation found him innocent, right? If they'd have found him murdered, oh, you meant to kill this man. You hated this man. You went there, you never liked him. And then, he came up there and then you stabbed him. Your intent, because y'all had beef. Same way with that case in Allison, him and Joe Ramirez had beef. He said that he wanted to kill Joe Ramirez. So you see, but now they gave him 10 years. They're not calling for his blood. They're not calling for him to be hanging from a tree. Case in Allison, right? They're not calling for that. But the truth of the matter is, he went with the intent. He went into the bathroom with a knife, knowing he had a knife, acted like he was going to fight the boy and end up stabbing him, right? So you see, that's the difference between this case and the Karmelo Anthony case, right? This is why when you would have judgment according to the word of Yah, you would understand how to judge this incident, right? Right? Not judging according to appearance, but you got to judge righteous judgment, right? And so a lot of people don't even know this, and they're running their mouth about things they don't even understand because they don't have God's word in them to judge righteously, right? So this is why we're going through this. But anyway, so let's go back to 25. And the congregation shall deliver the slayer out of the hand of the revenger of blood, and the congregation shall restore him to the city of his refuge, whither he was fled. And he shall abide in it until the death of the high priest, which was anointed with the holy oil. But if the slayer shall at any time come without the border of the city of his refuge, whither he was fled. So the slayer, basically comes to the border of the city, right? And the revenger of blood find him without the borders of the city of his refuge, so outside of the borders of the city. So say Karmelo was to go outside and Jeff Metcalf, the daddy, caught him outside of the city, right? Now the revenger of blood killed the slayer, he shall not be guilty of blood. So if he caught him outside of this city and killed him, right? Now, he's not guilty of blood because he should have remained in the city of his refuge until the death of the high priest. Well, guess what? You see, here the high priest is Christ, right? You know what I'm saying? Because we're not in Israel. So the high priest, we now know we're no longer under Levitical priesthood, right? So you know what I mean? These people, they sit here and talk a good game about being Christians and all this, but they don't know any of this stuff, right? They don't know anything about the laws of God because they completely dismiss the laws of God, right? Anyway, but after the death of the high priest, the slayer shall return into the land of his possession. So these things shall be a statute of judgment unto you throughout your generations in all your dwellings. Whoso killeth any person, the murderer shall be put to death by the mouth of witnesses, right? But one witness shall not testify against any person to cause him to die, right? Moreover, you shall take no satisfaction for the life of a murderer, which is guilty of death, but he shall be surely put to death. And you shall take no satisfaction for him that is fled to the city of his refuge, that he should come again to dwell in the land until the death of the priest. So basically, you couldn't even come up out of there. If you got to go flee to one of these cities of refuge, you stay there. You better not come out of there, because if the revenger of blood catches you, then kill you, right? Verse 33, so you shall not pollute the land wherein you are, for blood it defileth the land, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it, right? So now, here's the problem. All of the blood that has been shed over here in America. Now remember, Israel was called to teach the rest of the nations all of these laws, right? That's what we were supposed to do. And in that we wasn't doing things the way the Most High told us, we got kicked out and we got brought over here. Now we're over here and we're being ruled by Gentiles who don't have righteous judgment. So they always slant things toward them, right? And this is why we see the hypocrisy in them, because they have one set of rules for them and another set of rules for us, right? So this is the problem that we have now being in this land. This is why ultimately the Most High has used them to oppress us, to show us the error in our way, to show us, what righteous judgment is, so that we can now say, you know what, Father, we have sinned. We wasn't doing things right. Get us up out of here. Avenge us of our adversaries, but get us up out of here and bring us back into the land of our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right? Verse 34, defile not therefore the land which you shall inhabit. So this is what he was telling us as we was going in, wherein I dwell. For I, the Lord, dwell among the children of Israel. So when he had the temple, first the tabernacle of the congregation, but also the temple, the Most High, would meet them in the holiest of holies, right? But he told them, y'all got to do things right, or else I'm going to have to depart from y'all. I'm going to have to separate between me and you, lest I slay all y'all, right? So that's why he kicked us out and got us away from him, right? But anyway, with all that being said, now let's go back to the interview of Karmelo Anthony's parents, right? Because we had to lay that foundation. Now let's go and listen to what they have undergone throughout this whole ordeal.
Do you feel like the world, just going through this trial, got an accurate description of who Karmelo really is?
No, we've come to find out, which we were, before all this, we were a family that basically stayed to ourselves. We were very close knitted. My wife's at home. She stays at home. I was working, and we didn't know how cruel the world could be.
Mm.
They have his face plastered all over after while he still was a minor.
Mm-hmm.
And it was everything was happening. We was getting threats. They doxed us. I was so clueless and so involved in work. I didn't even know what doxing was. They put our address online. And so we had people coming to our home. So we never had to leave in our home. Like they had us in some type of what is a protective thing, whatever, to get us, to keep us safe with our other kids. The world right now, it sounds unbelievable, the things that he accomplished before this tragic accident. Like it will really mess you up. And as me being a father, I didn't realize, like him saving a life. I just as a father, I got caught up in, hey, that's what you're supposed to do. That's your expectation. Being a man, hey, that's what we do. We move on. Like him working, hey man, you're supposed to have a job. I was trying to, how it is that young. It was like, with your girl too much, man. You need to get a job, get a hobby. So he's working, but I kept him busy too. And this whole situation, is the reality of this is that somebody literally walked in his life.
Mm-hmm.
Literally walked into his life. He did everything by the law, and look where we at.
All right. So again, this is why it's so important that whenever anything breaks on the media, right? You have to understand what has, the history of this country and what has transpired with us, the reason why now you see this great divide. Because we know we have a history that no matter what an incident, if it becomes a black versus white incident, black man, you know what I'm saying, is going to be portrayed as a villain. White man is going to be portrayed as a good guy. And this case clearly shows you, prior to this incident, Karmelo was a good kid, right? He had never had no problems. He even actually saved someone's life. You know what I'm saying? He was doing well. Captain of football team, track team. His records are clean. Austin, on the other hand, you know what I'm saying? Him and his brother, basically even, and here's something that has recently come out, that they actually, you know what I'm saying, had jumped on their father, Jeff, you know what I mean, and messed his arm up, right? But, the bottom line is, you know what I'm saying? And we know from the law, you honor father and mother, that your days may be long, right? So the bottom line is, go putting your hands on your parents. Now all of a sudden, you know what I mean? Your life get cut short. But see, people don't take that into account, right? Even the father does not take that into account. Because now you got these aggressive boys who like taking matters into their own hand. Even a situation in which it was not for them to take the situation into their own hand, right? And we're going to hear more about that. I don't want to get ahead of myself and I don't want to get ahead of the parents, right? But anyway, you see, a lot of times, right? Media can shape your mind and your opinion of things. And there's a history in this country of black man's bad, white man's good, right? Regardless. And we can see in this case, the roles were reversed prior to this incident. Let's go back to the video.
I want to go back to that day, that track meet. Were you guys at the event at that track meet on April 2nd?
No, we were not. I was actually supposed to go to the track meet, but the weather was so bad, I just stayed home. It's like, Mama, don't come, just stay home.
Mm-hmm.
And now, looking back on everything, I wish I was there. I regret not being there for my child.
Mm. When did you hear the news that there had been an incident that day?
I received an email saying that there was an incident, no phone call, no anything.
You know how
My instinct was
her
to,
instinct.
because Karmelo, he's the type of child to let me know everything that's going on. And it wasn't like him to not call me and tell me what was going on. So when I received the email, we have Life 360. So I went into Life 360. I'm like, wait, they said the buses made it back to the school, but Carmelo location is still stating that he's at the stadium. Like, what's going on? So I headed to the school, and that's how I found out what happened.
And how I found out, I was actually in a work meeting, and when she first called me, I thought it was because it was right after April Fools. I was like, "Oh, y'all playing this?" Because this is not him.
Yeah.
So I was on, "Oh, you playing? All right, whatever." But she was like, "No, he was involved in the stabbing." So when we heard that, I didn't know what happened at the time. And they kept us from everything. Like they kept us, so we running around from place to place, place to place. And it was everything was just moving so fast that day. I never forget when that it was just like everything. Then once we found out and he went to his bond hearing. The next day, somebody doxed us.
Mm.
I don't want to say her name, but a lady started making this. They try to blame it on one person, not making it about race. But you had this lady that just went on to talk about white lives and all this other stuff, and now it went boom. The race car started about. That's how Jake Lane and all these other guys got involved in this. But at the end of the day, this was a kid situation that a lot of adults made it about their personal well, how they really wanted to feel, this is the time they wanted to show on how this is how we really feel about y'all. And they used my son for example.
All right, so I'm going to show you about Jake Lang here in a minute, right? You know what I mean? Because we talked about him, right? You know, in the last video that we did. But did you see what happened, right? Number one, this is a minor who's now got himself into a situation, right? They did not even call to notify the parents, right? They had taken him into custody. They didn't call the parents. He's a minor, right? He's a minor. And they didn't call the parents to notify the parents. You know what I'm saying? Your son is in custody. This is what happened. Allegedly, he has done such and such and so. They didn't even call the parents. Then they giving them the runaround and all that. Now, we already know in this country, the roles had been reversed. They would have already called the white parents, right? You know what I'm saying? The black parents wouldn't have been called if their son was dead. You know what I'm saying? They wouldn't have been called about that until once they officially in the hospital and all this type of stuff. So you see, they moved from the beginning. You know what I'm saying? To basically now, okay, wait a minute. And then after that, the first day, somebody doxes them, you know, putting their information, all this stuff out here online or whatever. And you see, these people did not allow for the court system. They didn't want the court system to handle nothing, right? They immediately, you know what I mean, sought to start persecuting the family. You know what I'm saying? Based off of the testimony, what they were getting off TV, you know, and how the media portrayed everything, right? Now, the media could have gotten access to that video, and they didn't, right? And they never put it out there because that was never their intent to show what really happened. All they wanted, you know what I mean, was, little black boy, you don't kill white boy. You don't do that. You keep that in the hood, right? You keep killing each other, but you don't come over here killing none of us because, we not going to start that. Y'all not going to start raising up y'all's hands against us. This is what this was all about. And then you see how it brought out the racism. All these people act like racism, oh, y'all have come a long way and we don't racism, whatever. But you see how it brought it out, right? They immediately, not only, you know, the family is grieving. Your son is now, you know what I mean? Your son is deceased, so we understand you're grieving. But this family is grieving too. Because this is a good kid who's now in police custody. And we already see y'all already moving, you know what I'm saying, and doing stuff against us. They got other children and all this stuff. And y'all doxing and now y'all sending all these, you know what I'm saying, threats and all this type of stuff, right? Just like how you used to be when we got over here and y'all could basically hang us off a tree and a whole congregation of you stand under there smiling, having picnics, right? Yeah, well, you know, it's a history of you doing these type of things, right? But anyway, let's talk about this Jake Lang because, see, he done messed around, ran off of his mouth, and that's why his butt is in trouble now, right? But let me go and show y'all this just to remind you of who he is.
Karmelo Anthony should be swinging from a tree outside this courthouse. Karmelo Anthony should be hanging from a tree. He wants to reestablish race relations in this country so that we can get along.
Tensions were high today for the Karmelo Anthony case, who is on trial for the alleged unaliving of Austin Metcalf.
We love our black youth. They deserve protection too. So, excuse me if I use colorful language like Karmelo Anthony needs to be swinging from a tree. Our people are being hunted by your people.
It's the other way around because for years and years and centuries, white people have killed black people. Do you deny that? Like have hung black people in trees. Like you said, have enslaved black people, have mass incarcerated black people.
I think it's victim culture. I think it's victim culture and there's too much.
All right, so we can see, right? Edward Jacob Lang is an American far-right activist and political candidate. He was a participant in the 2021 January 6 United States Capitol attack, for which he served 4 years in prison, right? Now, you would think after his butt just gets, basically pardoned, you know what I mean, by Trump. And this article is from CBSNews.com. You can see he didn't went and because he out there running his mouth talking about Karmelo Anthony should be hanging on a tree. He didn't got his butt locked up again, right? Far-right influencer Jake Lang pardoned for January 6 Capitol riot, arrested in Texas on charge of making terroristic threats, right? Jake Lang, a far-right influencer who was criminally charged in connection with the January 6, 2021 Capitol insurrection, but was later pardoned by President Trump, was arrested in Dallas, Texas, on a state charge of making terroristic threats. According to the Texas Department of Public Safety, 31-year-old Lang was arrested Tuesday after getting off a flight in Dallas on 1/3 degree felony count of making a terroristic threat. He was booked into the Dallas County Jail. The charge comes after photos and videos showed Lang outside the Collin County Courthouse several times this past week during the murder trial for teen Karmelo Anthony. A jury Tuesday found Anthony guilty of murder in the April 2025 stabbing death of 17-year-old Austin Metcalf at a track meet in the Dallas suburb of Frisco, and he was sentenced to 35 years in prison. Anthony's family told CBS News on Wednesday that Lang had allegedly threatened to shoot Anthony in the head if he was not convicted of murder, right? So here he goes right here. In a video posted to his X account Tuesday, the voice of a man claiming to be Lang alleges that he is calling from the Dallas County Jail and says, "They've arrested me for a felony, what's called terroristic threats, simply because I said that if the jury did not find Karmelo Anthony guilty, right, that we the people will deal with justice," right? So if we don't get our result that we want, if you jury don't do what y'all supposed to do, then guess what? We gonna deal with it, right? And this is a classic case of lawfare used to squash a First Amendment protester like myself. So now, and he's just now talking about victim culture. So you see, he out here talking about, victim culture, but now you out here running around and running your mouth, flew out here, it ain't got nothing to do with you. The case is in trial. They end up finding him guilty. But you run your mouth out here, come out here, oh yeah, we're going to do this. I'm going to shoot him in the head, do all this type of stuff. He should be hanging off a tree, right? Trying to incite violence, right? Incite a riot, right? Because you see, they feel this way. We're going to get justice one way or the other. Whether it's through the law, through the courts, or whether we're going to do it ourselves. What you mean you're going to do it yourself? What this got to do with you, right? You ain't even from Texas. You know what I'm saying? But you see, you get these daggone racists. They come in, stir up controversy, right? And then the next thing you know what I'm saying? He's the one out here crying, oh, they try to take away my First Amendment rights, right? You know what I'm saying? It's ridiculous. But anyway, let's go back to the video of the Anthonys, and continue breaking this down.
What did Karmelo tell you happened that day at the track meet?
He was sitting there seeing his friend. Once you get the reports and everything, he was actually his girlfriend's cousin invited him to the tent. Mm-hmm. So when they invited him to the tent, it was just, hey, what's going on, such and such. It was raining. He sat there. Then next you know it, you had these two guys who approached him. Even seeing the video in court, it was like, I know y'all see this. I know y'all see this. And we got comfortable with the instructions that we was told. We was told not to say nothing. We was told not to do this. So we did everything we did. We followed all instructions that we were told. Hey, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. Hey, don't talk to this person. Don't talk to this person. It was all this. And look what happened to my son.
All right. So again, you see, he basically tells us Karmelo was sitting under the canopy, right? Sitting there talking to this guy that basically invited him over. Saying, hey, so he goes, sits there, he mind his business. These two thugs come up to him, right? Approach him. And he says this on the videotape. They show this to the jury. How is Karmelo found guilty of murder, right? When if they came and approached him and then first physically, by putting their hands on him, assaulted him, right? Bottom line is, and then they end up chasing him once he stabbed and ran. Bottom line is, how is he found guilty of murder? He didn't have enmity with Austin and his brother Hunter. He didn't go to them talking about, hey, what you say? What you say? And walk down on them with a knife in his hand. He didn't go to them. They came to him, right? But once again, they can be the attacker. We can sit there and you're just supposed to sit there and say, okay, sir. You know what I mean? I'm going to leave. Right? That's what this is what this is all about, right? And yet, what did they tell them? Tell the parents. Y'all don't say nothing, just go along with it, y'all just be good. You know what I'm saying? And the jury gonna see this for what it is. We got the evidence. So they like, okay, all right, they trusting, the lawyers. And the lawyers are setting them up the whole time, right? Let's go back to the video.
It sounds like you wish you had talked more, that you had said more, that you had got your story out more.
I call myself sometimes you could do the right thing, but it could be the wrong thing.
Did Karmelo want to get his story out more to the public as well?
He was trying to listen. He was trying to listen to what he was being advised.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, don't make it about race. Don't do this. Don't do this. So we like, all right, we go again. We played the game they wanted. We did everything a law-abiding citizen supposed to. They told us don't do this. We did everything we supposed to. And he wanted people, of course he wanted somebody. They got pictures of him being 17 with a dress on, saying he could be raped in jail. Like all kind of these adults are talking about this child, but nobody's seeing it. Like nobody's seeing it. So we can't say anything. The other family, they go paint this lie that nobody still have exposed, that he died in his brother's arms. And it was all
that's not true, because that is a narrative. Yeah.
No, you never heard it no more. That stuff was a lie. You heard about a bag. You never heard about a bag since trial. That's what I was telling people. A lie is temporary, but the truth lasts forever. Mm-hmm. It's just now, it's like harder now. I got to fight to get the truth out. He basically had to get the book thrown at him, 35 years in this county that basically, I honestly feel as though that they manipulate us with a smile.
Mm. Absolutely. You can see where he's coming from. I totally understand, right? Because even with us, we tried to get this story out. You know what I mean? You know what I mean about the Karmelo Anthony, from over a year ago, and another, you know what I'm saying? Those numbers would always be lower than any of my other videos, right? So, you know what I mean? What it was is they wanted to control the narrative, right? And this is bigger. This is bigger than just even down in Texas, because then people ain't got control over the internet. You know what I'm saying? So the bottom line is, but they wanted it to be blow up, and they wanted this to be, a black versus white thing or whatever. The media got behind it, and this is what we talk about with the Ashkenazi Jewish controlled media, right? They the main ones. They've been doing it since they made that movie, The Birth of a Nation, right? When they caused the KKK numbers to rise, because they put out a movie. And they showed, a white woman in the movie, A Birth of a Nation, not this one that came out 10, 15 years or however, time flying so fast now, but way back in the 1920s, I think it was. But anyway, they put that video out where this black slave, and it was a white man dressed up in blackface, right? He was running after, some white woman, and her attempt to escape from her, she jumped off a cliff. This incited white people all throughout America, and it caused a lot of them to join the KKK. And that's when they start really persecuting, the Negroes, who we know are the Israelites, right, here in America, right?
President Woodrow Wilson watches the first film screened in the White House, revitalizing the Ku Klux Klan. Mr. Seeger presents Infamous History, The Birth of a Nation, 1915. D.W. Griffith's epic blockbuster offers a wildly distorted view of Reconstruction, depicting African Americans as faithful slaves and incompetent after emancipation. At the film's end, a blackface actor, unable to contain his urges, threatens the white heroine, who is heroically saved by the Klan. Though largely disbanded, within a few months of the film's release, the Klan is resurrected at a ceremony atop Stone Mountain, Georgia, using the film as a recruiting tool.
So the bottom line is, we see how they use the media to push a narrative to cause people to hate us. Meanwhile, these people who are running the country and running, taking everything from white people, putting them under taxes and tribute and all this type of stuff, running their media, running their politicians, got them involved in wars and every daggone thing else. You know what I'm saying? But these white people are told you bow down to Israel because they are, you know what I'm saying, the Judeo-Christians. You know what I'm saying? Jesus was a Jew, right? When Jesus really was a Hebrew Israelite Jew, you see? So the bottom line is what they have done, and the reason why they portray us so negatively in the media is because they want to steal our identity, right? They tell everybody we're the thugs, we're the murderers, you know what I'm saying? We're the people that you can't trust. Meanwhile, you know what I'm saying? They go over here into the land. They're the thieves. They're the one drop bombs on people. They're the one over here raping people and prisoners and every daggone thing else over there. And you see who they are. And now white people don't know who's who, you see? And as long as they got that media to keep portraying us the way they do, that's the reason why they make the rap videos like they do. That's the reason why they make, you know what I'm saying, all these shows portraying black women as whores and all this type of stuff. Everything they do is to portray us in a negative light because that is part of their plan to steal our identity and make people despise us and embrace them, even though they're the ones who are the synagogue of Satan, right? Let's go back to the video.
They act as if they cared, but they really didn't. When they win the jury selection, we seen all the people with the jury selection. I was like, baby, this is not right. But my wife is the type of person. I'm not gonna just say us. We're both the type. We try to be positive. Hey, we're not gonna look at it. That's not what it is. That's not us. That's what it was.
So even when you noticed there were no black jurors, it gave you pause. It made you want to say something, but you were still going along with the process.
Yeah, I was going along with the process because there's a lot of times when I hope this don't be controversial, but that's the first thing they do is they try to say we're emotional. Mm-hmm. We don't follow instructions, right? So we did everything that we was advised and told to do, and look what happened.
All right, so you'll clearly see, right? What did he tell you? We tried to play the game. We try to go to this system, do it the right way, but as you can see, they didn't put not one of us on that jury, right? Not one, right? And it's supposed to be a trial of your peers. But you know what? Oh, peers don't necessarily mean that look like you or whatever. It can be, anybody that just comes from the community, right? So when it comes to us, right, we don't get anybody that looks like us or represent us, knowing good and well the history of this country and their racism. And so they put a lynch mob as jurors, right? And then convict him as guilty. You know what I'm saying? And the reason why they told them not to say anything, don't put your narrative out here. We'll put the narrative out here. You just be cool. You'll get your day in court. The video evidence will show what it needs to show. You know what I'm saying? And once people see this, then, and they completely kept that narrative, you know what I'm saying, out in the public to what they wanted other people to believe so that they could convict him. That's all it was. Let's go back to the video.
So who was they? You said that they told you. Who was they? Was it your defense attorney?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we were, because about him being 18, so what they did was they kind of played everybody against everybody, if you could say. I'm not going to say they played us against each other, but it's almost they had him scared, like, hey, this, I'm a lawyer, this. So as me being a father, all right, you're the guy, I'm okay with playing my position. And I don't want to overstep any boundaries. Everybody kept saying, hey, to beat this. I even went to some black attorneys. They're like, oh, you need a white attorney to go out there to fight out there. Remember they was telling us that? They kept telling us that. So everybody like, why you out there? Everybody was telling us, okay. So then when we get it, they basically tossed them over. A lot of objections wasn't done. It's a lot that wasn't done.
So do you believe your son received a fair trial?
No.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. And we're going to keep fighting. Mm-hmm. We will not stop fighting for justice for my son.
Mm-hmm. And to be honest with you, I'm going to say this for the record. To the Anthony family, I don't believe you got a fair trial either, right? Matter of fact, with y'all will do, because I already know what they're going to even do with this video, right? They'll try to, suppress it, comments and all this. Now, remember the last time I asked y'all, I told y'all just put hi in the comment. If I see your comment, then I will respond back to it. Same thing, but in this time, just put Karmelo fair trial. You know what I mean? Or fair trial for Karmelo, whatever. But type that in there. You know what I mean? Even right now, as y'all watching in the live chat, if you just go in the regular comment section, type that in there or after the video. That way, you know what I'm saying? I will respond back to all comments that I see, right? If I don't respond back to your comment, then you know I didn't see it. Now, the last time we did this, y'all know I got kicked off for a week, right? You know what I mean? They kicked me off for a week, right? But my strike should be gone now, so let's do it again, right? So I'm asking you in the comment section, fair trial for Karmelo. Type that in there. I see it. I will respond. And by the comments or whatever, hopefully we can get this video to generate some views so that, people can see what's really going on. All right? So if y'all do me that favor, I greatly appreciate it. Let's go back to the video.
Yeah, it's hard for us right now, and I've had my moments. And we want our children to do better, right? We look at our YNs. This wasn't YN. So what we gonna do about this not YN? We can make more YNs. Now you got a kid, like I just told you, everything that we're telling you right now is verified. Mm-hmm. 2 jobs with the HEB Foot Locker. That's who came to the buying him. His GPA, he still graduated through all this. He still graduated high school. Mm-hmm. He still graduated. The lady the kid he saved, this stuff really happened. He was never in trouble, and no, he was never suspended for no knife. But they had, actually what I learned was they had a smear campaign that they did. I wasn't familiar with that. And a lot of people that we were reaching out with, I understand business. A lot of people, they got a lot of things going on. So we was reaching out, I was emailing, but everybody want to go through, it's kind of a circle thing, which I understand. But I realized through this, black entertainment is going to have to be, a black network is going to have to be done, because I'm looking for people who would never understand.
Yeah.
No matter how much you do it, no matter how much you do, they would never see it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's the one thing. And like they said, and many of us, even with the videos or whatever, them trying to suppress views and all this, what we talk about, they don't even want us speaking amongst ourselves, right? They try to control our speech, amongst ourselves. So that whatever we're talking about, they try to come in, they try to suppress it, right? They try to, that's why they yank videos down and all this type of stuff. I'm doing Bible study videos, and they'll come in and try to yank it down, right? Then you get, these people who look like us, who they're doing things, for their own personal, benefit, for their only financial future. So in a situation like this with them, they hotter than fish grease, right? Because, if they say, yeah, we were standing with Karmelo and his family, whatever, these people, like us, that look like us, they can take a hit, right? Because then these people start trying to attack them, right? But if you're not going to stand for righteousness, what you going to stand for, right? So the bottom line is, by stepping up and standing with people when you see injustice being done, right? I don't care if you're black. I don't care if you're white. You see what I'm saying? But especially us as the Israelites. This is why we have to understand, because see, what he's now beginning to understand is that you are a stranger in a foreign land. And these strangers have oppressed and put over you and, your family. They persecuted you, and they basically conspired against your child. You know what I'm saying? And now he sees it for what it is, right? But we know it because we read the book. We know it now why all these things happen to us. See, this is what he's going to have to learn, is that you are an Israelite. You are under the laws of God. We're under judgment, right? The Most High ain't going to make everything all rosy for you over here, right? Right when you think you got everything good, and the Most High is like, you know what I mean? I'm going to use your son, right? I'm going to use your son. That way you're going to understand, you know what I mean? You can play by the rules here in this country, but I'm going to show you who these people are. They don't like you. You're going to have to submit to me. You're going to have to cry out to me. You know what I'm saying? And I got your son. I'll take care of him. You know what I mean? But you needed to teach him, right, who he was, that he was an Israelite, teach him about the laws of God, the statutes and the commandments to the point he knew that. And at the same point in time, right now, to accept his atonement through Christ Jesus, right? Yahusha, Yahawashai, you know what I'm saying? Or, you know, some people say Yeshua, Yahshua, whatever, right? But we know who the Hebrew Messiah is. These things are important, and that's what they need to teach the rest of their children, right? To understand you are a stranger in a foreign land. You've been brought over here as captives, and now you see that those who rule over you actually do hate you, as scripture tells us, right? That's why we need to know these things so we can be praying to avenge us of our adversaries, Father, and get us up out of here, right? Let's go back to the video.
You know, you're saying that as you were watching the trial, as you were in there, you know, you didn't want to question the process. You wanted to let it play out. But was there at any point that you felt the outcome was heading in this direction?
No. Everybody lied. Look at the report. Everybody, it's called what? It's perjury. That everybody did. Basically just did it with no, and they never was called out on it. I mean, literally they told within an hour of when it happened, it was 2 to 3 people. When they got to the trial, that's, oh no, you know, it was, I'm like, wait, what? And don't get me wrong, the defense said, hey, did you say this here? Everybody. One girl made up a lie, said it was over a race, that my son just walked up. This how crazy this is.
Yeah.
One girl sat on the stand and said, yeah, he just walked up to him and said, what, you want to race? It didn't even make sense. Then they asked her, did you lie? She was like, mm-hmm. On the stand. Nothing happened.
Why didn't the defense call more witnesses?
That's not my department, and I apologize for that. I don't have
you know, you know, as you look at it, and you know, I'm not an attorney, but I'm hearing you, and you're telling me all these wonderful things about him, and I'm just wondering, did the jury get to hear, you know, all of these wonderful things about Karmelo?
No, they didn't. Even when the one kid who was the corporate of all this, meaning the kid who invited him to the tent, he lied on the stand and said he didn't even know him.
So now you got young people, right, who they basically, in their zeal to get Karmelo, they coerced them to bear false witness against their neighbor, right? They're only on the stand telling the lies. And the very kid, and I was wondering, well, you know what I mean? They keep saying that, you know, somebody invited Karmelo over there. Who was that kid? And then come to find out, you know what I'm saying? That kid sitting there and told a lie, said he didn't even know him, right? And they got all know that he knows him, right? But he sat up there on the stand and told a lie. Now you got false witness all in the court, and they still convicted him. When you and then the defense is not bringing this stuff up and objecting and doing whatever. You know what I mean? So, you know, the more and more you listen to this, you already know this was a hit job, right? This was a lynch mob, right? That's all it was. Let's go back to the video.
And they had pictures with his grandmother. Like, here's your grandmother, my son, your grandmother. Their whole family got multiple times, played basketball together, all kind of different things. And
Yeah.
I mean, all of the witnesses' statements and stories were inconsistent. So we thinking that the jury is going to notice that. But they already had their mind made up when they sat in that courtroom. Their mind was made up already.
So you see, they could prove that the witnesses was in there bearing false witness. All of them having different stories and all this type of stuff. None of it lining up, right? But you do have video evidence, right? You had the video evidence. Does Austin and his brother approach Karmelo? Did they approach him or not? Did they first put their hands on him or not, right? They had all that information. You got a bunch of people out here and all their testimonies are inaccurate, right? That's why the Bible tells you in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, let the matter be established. Well, you got a bunch of people up here who their witnesses is inconsistent. you already know something's going on, right? But see, that's the reason why they didn't want that trial televised. You see what I'm saying? The reason why they banned the camera. It was a daggone conspiracy the whole time, and now we can see through all of it, right? Let's go back to the video.
How big of a role do you guys believe that race played into how this case was publicly viewed and how this outcome, this sentence was handed down?
It played a big part. Race, politics, all that. I'm like, man, the kid don't even vote. How he got into it? It was a lady talking about the left side and the right side. Like, what? These are kids. They put I feel like you had a certain group that of course, they go blame us, that strategically made this about this because they knew they could do that smear campaign. Like they said, we went and bought a new car and house.
Yeah.
And it hurt with me without my people. My people really believed instead of them going and doing their proper research. They had people really bashing us. I'm like, y'all really believe that? Who could buy a house in 4 days? Buy a house in 4 days. I know we may sometimes we may not make the right decisions, but come on now, like that didn't even make sense. They said we was going on extravagant trips. There's a lot of things that they did to us that just,
There was a lot of misinformation that was going around, especially, in the beginning. And, I know your family had to move a couple times because you were doxxed. And, I can't even imagine how Karmelo going through that, trying to finish school, fighting, for his freedom.
All right, so let me show y'all. This is how filthy, these people are. You know what I mean? This is the media, Fox News, you know what I mean? Now, I took this screenshot yesterday. Y'all know I posted it on my post yesterday, right? On YouTube. They still are doing it. Even after the case, you know what I mean? He's being convicted, being guilty. Look at what they're still doing. Nearly $634,000 poured into a fundraiser for Karmelo Anthony's family, and organizers say the money has already been spent. Why are y'all going in reporting on, whether they spent the money or not? And 9 times out of 10, even if they did spend it, it's for lawyer fees, right? According to Give, Send, Go, the funds were used over the past year for legal defense and living and moving expenses, helping Anthony's family relocate following the highly publicized case, right? So they just telling everybody that they relocated, right? You see what they're doing? The campaign was launched after Anthony fatally stabbed 17-year-old Austin Metcalf during a Texas high school track meet in April 2025. Anthony was convicted of murder and sentenced to 35 years behind bars on Tuesday, but the legal battle isn't over. So you see Fox News, you see what they're doing even still to this day, what they're doing. Even after they did this, to slander them, to get them, people to turn against them. And now that he's being convicted, they still won't stop. All right. Here's another screenshot, right? This Fox News, y'all, as y'all can see, right? Fox News. They still are doing it. Now you tell me that ain't the Jewish controlled media that's trying to get black people and white people back at their throats because they know people are turning against them. Divide and conquer. Let's go back to the video.
And you guys have other children, so much on you as parents. How's your other children handling this?
Now we had to end up taking them out of school because they had TikTok videos with my son with semen coming out of his mouth because there's him saying go get raped in jail, and it's just like that was my daughter, my princess. She had to go through that. The other boys, we was in a pretty blessed community. That's why I hope a lot of people get this message. It don't matter where you at. It don't matter where you at. We was supposed to be in the safest place, but it's like they're telling us that you could be assaulted, but you better not fight back. That's what this is what this case is saying. Yeah. It could be 2, 3 people, size, it don't matter.
Yeah.
So that's what this case is really all about. The family is saying now, I just got a message, they saying they were robbed. Now they were robbed. Now, mind you, if we
They, as in the Metcalf family?
I've just got this thing just popped up saying they saying people are robbed. They If we don't get the message now, and it's not because it's our child, we would never get it.
Mm-hmm.
This is the most crucial time ever, especially if you have kids. Because again, you see, the child I'm telling you about right now,
Mm-hmm.
we all have kids like that. We sent them off to school. We sent them off just not looking for it. Again, he didn't go look for this. That's why they try to paint that picture.
Mm-hmm.
They painted a picture, and he didn't look for this. This walked into his life. Literally, matter of fact, they say it like this. The evidence shows he jumped 3 bleachers to get to him.
Mm. Now,
So that tells you
did the jury hear that information? And is that information on the video?
that's on the video.
And they had their minds made up
The
already.
mind was made up.
It's already made up.
Yeah, it was a kangaroo court, right? But, you know what I mean? This is why, it's so important for us because like he said, you go and you fight these white people, they will throw that book at you, right? You don't fight back. They go do something to you, and guess what? Oh no, well, you know what? Yeah, we'll take care of that. Don't you worry about it, right? So what does that do? That causes racial divide, which is what they want, right? Because now, instead of, white Christians looking at black Hebrew Israelites and understanding we're the true Israelites, not those people that are running the country and running everything in this country, right? Instead of us looking at each other's throat, if we ever stop and realize, no, you know what I'm saying? If these white people realize these are the real true Israelites here, these are the real Israelites, we ain't supposed to put our hands on them because if we do that, you know what I'm saying? We're going to go into captivity next, right? So see, they tricked the white people and now got them to the point that now you got the wrath of God on you, right? And that's why they're robbing everything, taking the country from them, got their paying their politicians off and all this and got them over here involved in wars. You see, the synagogue of Satan, you know what I mean, got us hating whites, got whites hating us, you know what I'm saying? And we don't understand. They're sitting up here out of sight. You see what I'm saying? They sitting up here orchestrating everything from above, right? Because they are the thieves in the synagogue of Satan who needed our identity, right? Because these white Christians over here, they needed our identity because these white Christians, you know what I'm saying, did not understand that the true Hebrew Israelites are the one that's got to go back to the land when Christ comes back, right? If they are not with us, you ain't going back to the land. If you're with the synagogue of Satan, then guess what? He's going to destroy you. You see? That's what this is really all about, right? Is they're basically pitting everybody against each other, stole our identity so they can go in here and now they got all these people deceived, hating us, which is that one thing they ain't supposed to do because the Gentiles are not supposed to exalt themselves against the natural branches, right? But see, we don't even know we're the natural branches. All we know is that Whitey is over here, you know what I'm saying, tripping, right? Not understanding that the Most High is using them, you know what I'm saying, to correct us, you know? So you see, that's why I tell you, you got to understand this stuff for what it is. Let's go back to the video.
Three bleachers. Some say 1, some said 3, some said 5. Their statements was inconsistent.
So
Every
tell
statement
us,
was inconsistent.
because we haven't seen that video. What did that video show?
The video showed, honestly, you can show that you can see him coming into the tent, sitting down, and then it's like it started getting a little like you couldn't tell the people. But we're experts. Let me tell you what the DA did. They put a spotlight on the boys, right? So you could see them, right? But they never put a spotlight on Karmelo. And the reason why is because, of course, they was trying to make their side look like, oh, it wasn't that bag of push. The whole thing move. Even the guy EP said in his statement, it was so bad to where it pushed him out the way. Because he's some pretty big kids.
Mm-hmm.
They're real big. They're bigger than me, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like they tried to minimize their doing, but I've heard people who would supposed to be justice if in Texas, if I threaten you when I'm lying, you have the right to do whatever force if you fear for your life.
So the video showed, I'm sorry, go ahead, Kayla.
No, he said if you fear for your life or
seriously body home. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they're trained jujitsu fighters too.
Mm-hmm.
So they are trained jujitsu fighters too. That's probably why they whooped their daddy up, right? They are trained jujitsu fighters. And as trained jujitsu fighters, anybody in martial arts knows you're not, you know what I mean, because you know some stuff, you are not supposed to go and start any type of conflict, put your hand on it, because you know martial arts, right? So the bottom line is, here it is, yoga. And then when he said EP, I think that's the child, you know, or the young man, teenager, who basically, you know what I'm saying, that Karmelo came over there to sit. Because in looking at the police reports, you can kind of see them say EP, but they don't really tell what his name is and all that. You know, it's blocked out. So I think that's him, or it's one of them people that's witness or whatever. But he said, you know, they pushed him out of the way. You know what I'm saying? You know, and so, you know, now that's why he changing his story. We're like, yeah, I don't really know him, whatever, because he don't want to get in trouble and he don't want, you know what I mean? His parents probably tell him, hey, no, don't you say that, because next thing you know, all these white people going to be out here outside our door, right? So you see what I'm saying? You know, when the wrath of this racial mob vigilantes, whatever, come at you, you know, a lot of people are like, listen, I don't want no problem. I ain't seen nothing. I just don't know nothing, right? And going to leave you out to dry. And that's what they see, right? That's what Karmelo has got to sit there. And you think about it, he's got to sit there, listen to these people go up there and take that stand and tell a lie. It's like, man, this is my life. Y'all sitting up here lying, you know what I mean? And not even telling the whole truth. You know what I mean? Not even saying what actually happened. And he's got to sit there. You know, you can't say nothing. You got to sit there, right? I mean, it's crazy. But then, you know, they getting ready to get into this part about why he's not taking the stand. For all y'all talking all that crazy nonsense, there ain't no way you put that boy up on the stand. He's 17, 18 years old. You know what I mean? And they was setting people up. What you think they gonna do? Oh, didn't you bring this, whatever, did this? They gonna try to frustrate him and do all that kind of stuff. And people always keep talking about, why would you put him on the stand? Rick Chow didn't take the stand in his own whatever. And he shot a man, a 14-year-old in the back. Ain't nobody saying why he take the stand. Why? Because he got off.
And so the video that you all that they showed in court, it shows him running away from.
Yeah, he ran to the teacher. The teacher said that the teacher he ran to a guy, and the teacher he ran to actually he hugged him, because Karmelo, he's not like that. He hugged the guy. Like, he was freaking out. He hugged the guy. So the guy they was hugging. He was crying hysterically, and they tried to paint it as if he was trying to leave. But then in court they said it that he wasn't trying to leave.
Yeah. Now, did this teacher testify?
He did.
Yes. And he also said he had to stop another kid from jumping on Karmelo, which was, guess what? Supposed to have been a person that was his friend. The guy who, hey, man, come on, look, hey, if you've been to high school, think about it. The guy that told you to come over here, you sitting down, the same person who could have de-escalated the whole thing, he was trying to go after him. And that's the same guy that was playing like he was videoing, but they couldn't find the video. He was, the police didn't really even try to go through his phone to even look for the video. So he said he was acting as if he was recording.
So now you see, right? And if that kid actually has that whole thing on camera, right? He knows. Now, mind you, you just flipped. Now, mind you, this is Karmelo Anthony's girlfriend's cousin, right? You basically, you know, and say, hey, man, come here. But then all of a sudden, you don't know him. Then all of a sudden, you running after him and all this type of stuff. Y'all done play basketball together and all this. and you sitting up here and they didn't caught you with all these type of lies, you know? But why are you doing it? And then you go run down here and join the mob. You know what I'm saying? Why? Because was these your friends and all this type of stuff? Or did you not want to get bullied by them? Because you know, hey, I better stand on their side, you know what I mean? Because I go to this school, right? You know what I mean? You don't go to this school, but I go to this school, and I'm not trying to get jumped and bullied up, you know, and I go to school on Monday, right? So you see what I'm saying? Or whenever, you know what I mean, Thursday or Friday or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So that's why he jumped into the chase and ran with him. You know what I'm saying? And I know Karmelo sitting there like, you invited me to come sit down, and now you're going to sit here and tell a lie? You know, like you said, you could have asked, nah, man, I told him to come sit here. Yeah, he with me, right? But you bearing false witness. And if you're bearing false witness, you better repent. He better repent. Because life ain't going to go well with you either. You see what I'm saying? It's only a matter of time. Judgment may not come immediately. But the Most High sees you for who you are. You run around bearing false witness, oh, somebody's going to bear false witness on you and you ain't going to like it, right? It's going to come back on you, right? Let's go back to the video.
Now, when he was running, was this before or after the incident happened?
It's after the incident.
This is after the incident.
That's why they came up with the, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
That's why they came up with the narrative that he
was running.
Yeah, he threw the knife. When he threw it, he didn't throw the knife. His hand was cut. So it's a lie that when the video show, if you ever been on high school bleachers, you're not on the stairs. You know how you try to walk. So imagine trying to run up, he fell. So what you think fell? He only went up. They caught it in 3 bleachers. It was like 3 bleachers up. It was 3 bleachers up. So when you could see him get up. You could tell he dropped it. Then he stood up. He didn't know where to go. Then he ran down, fell, and they was coming after him. He ran around and ran to a coach.
All right. Now, for some people that might want to be technical, he ran to the teacher, ran to the coach. Coach can be teachers. A lot of times, you know what I mean? Coaches, in these track teams are actually teachers, right? So, all right. So for people to start thinking, well, man, he said coach, then he said teacher. He changed up what he said. Right now, back out. Slow down, right? But anyway, like you said, but listen at what he's describing that's on the video. And see, here's the sad part about it. If you had saw the video, and I understand them, you know what I mean? You got to get somebody to take the case. They tell you not to talk, not to say nothing. So all this time, they didn't talk about what was actually on the video, especially his parents, if they saw it all, right? But they just wanted to make sure, okay, well, y'all play the video. Once the video is seen, then people will understand. But now, you know what I mean? After they throw the book and put this narrative out here, the media, you know what I mean, didn't get the video, has never shown the video to the public. Now everybody's like, well, they got video. Well, what did the video show, right? Now people start, you know what I mean, requesting Freedom of Information Act for you, you know what I'm saying? Then guess what? This video sooner or later should be coming out. And when it does, when people see this, you've already convicted this guy and given him 35 years, right? So you see what I'm saying? You know, they're still going to have to try to do everything to cover this up. This is why it ain't over. This is why they need our prayers. You know what I'm saying? They need our prayers, right? Simple as that. And remember, again, I'm going to say this again. At the end of the video, you know what I'm saying, when you make your comments, please comment, you know what I'm saying, fair trial, Karmelo Anthony, right? If I see it, I will message you back, you know what I mean, I will comment. If I don't see it, then you realize they're hiding your comments, okay? So anyway, let's go back to the video.
So did the video show the altercation of you know, them approaching him first and then the confrontation? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you talk to your defense attorney about any of these concerns that you had as the trial was playing out, or even now that the trial is over?
100%. I mean, I'm actually praying that somebody send us somebody that we get sent somebody that can help us. It's kind of like I'm still right now in shock, so I'm just moving on and drilling right now. Like
so you're looking for a new defense? attorney for future appeal process.
Yes.
Yeah.
And did your defense attorney say anything about how he feels or they feel the case went?
I'm going to say they gave us the corporate answer.
Mm.
Uh, they gave us the corporate answer, you know.
All right. And this is why there's another life principle that you got to learn, right? You went looking for whatever, then you got a defensive attorney, and then you basically trusted him, right? You can't trust people over stuff like that, you know? You have to go to the Father and say, Father, send me the guy that you want to represent us, right? You know what I mean? Show me whether it's this is the person, and if not, you know what I'm saying? You can't go by reputation, you can't go by any of that. Because, you know, when it comes to stuff like this, people will save their own hide, right? And you got to realize a lot of these attorneys, you know what I mean? They ain't going to want to take no case, you know what I'm saying? In which they know, hey, you take this case, we're going to make it difficult for you, you know, do anything in this state, right? They don't want to get involved in stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I mean? You really would need somebody in this situation where it really, 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 you know what I'm saying, is a fighter and is sent by the Most High Yah, because they know they're not afraid of man. They're afraid of going against the Father. You know what I'm saying? So that's why, you know what I mean, they need to be praying. You know, and we pray for them as well. You know what I'm saying? Lord, send them the right person, right? Reveal it to them who they are, you know what I'm saying, to have represent this young man. Because, you know what I mean? And Father, be with that attorney and be with this family. You see what I'm saying? You can't go in here and fight this wickedness, this spiritual wickedness in high places. You can't fight them on your own. That's why the Most High put us in this situation for us to learn. You must depend on me. Simple as that, right? When you got issues, when you got affliction, come to me, right? Just don't ask whatever, because like I said, sometimes we think that the Father may want Karmelo delivered, you know what I'm saying? And no, the Father may have let this go the first time, just like, no. You know what I'm saying? I want him in that situation because I'm getting ready to bring down this whole, you know what I'm saying, kangaroo system that they got going on down here, right? So you see what I'm saying? They think they may have won round one. You may have won the battle, but you ain't won the war, right? Let's go back to the video.
And did Karmelo want to testify in his own on his own behalf, and was
Survived. It was based on everything. It didn't need nothing because everything they said when it's self-defense, they have to prove it. They never proved it.
okay? So that was never that was because I know there was this pause, and a lot of people thought that we were going to come back and he was going to take the stand, and he didn't. So that was never an option. That had never been discussed of him taking the stand.
That's why we just need a newer. We need somebody who's gonna fight.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I can really say right now. We just need somebody gonna fight for him.
Mm-hmm.
Because their whole thing was he provoked it. That was their entire case. He provoked it. That's what the whole thing was.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what do you want the world to know about who Karmelo is and what your family is going through right now?
We're going through hell. Doesn't feel real. We feel like, it just don't feel real.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good kid. The receipts show that he wasn't a YN. We as adults, we're not helping with the YNs. And I know we could look at the tragedy that happened, but it was by the law.
Mm-hmm.
The law supposed to cover us. So anybody who feels any way different, I honestly feel like, it's okay when as long as the devil don't knock at your door. Because I was clueless like that too. Hey, man, it never happened. It would never happen to me. It would never happen to us. Because, we stayed in our lane. We were nice neighborhood. We were doing good, but these people basically made it their. We just had comments to where people say, yeah, we sending y'all back to the hood. We saying y'all don't deserve what y'all have. He said it in court yesterday. Forgot. He said that they told my son to look at me when I'm talking to you.
Who said that?
The dad, the son, both of them said, "Look at me while we talk to you." Like, oh, it's gonna come out. They said, "Look at me while we talk to you." What? Yeah,
So the dad, Metcalf's father, said that to Karmelo
and the son. The son
and the
came
son.
out. The son came out. He eventually got on the stand for the impact statement. But he didn't want to get on the stand, and I even tried to get people to. I even try to get them to call him, but that's another. It's just a lot, and I know what's going to hurt me more because this interview may push a lot of people off wanting to help us because oh well, you did this, man. I don't do this. I don't understand why we like that. Like we all fighting for the same goal. Like oh man, all right, sure. Well, you said this. I can't. What? Come on, man. Like, but it's okay because you know what? It's not yours. So I totally understand it. But I just tell everybody, be careful in case that devil not.
So you see, and as a father, you got to sit here and watch, this other father tell your kid, look at me, and then the brother, you didn't take the stand, right, to testify when you was a witness right there with your brother. You know what I'm saying? But they didn't call you up there. Because had they called you up there, they could have asked you and they could have brought in that you knew jiu-jitsu. They could have brought in that y'all attacked him. Y'all went to him first. They could have brought in, okay, was this you and your brother that went up there? And they could have brought all that stuff in. So they didn't put him on there. But like he said, as a father, I would, hey, man, let's call him up here. He's a witness. He's right there. We see it all on camera. Call him up there. Why didn't the defense call him up there as a witness? Call the brother, right? Why didn't they do that, right? Me and Brother Bob talked about it, and I was thinking, oh, well, they didn't cross his hand. And then he's like, no, why didn't they call him? I'm like, wait a minute, you're right. You're right. I didn't think about that. Yeah, why didn't the defense call him up there? Call him as a witness, right? He ain't Karmelo, where Karmelo didn't take stand. You can call him. He's a witness, and you got him on video, right? If anybody the defense should have called, should have been the brother. You know what I'm saying? And yet, you don't get up here and taste, but then when it's the impact statement, oh, now you can come and testify. Now you come, look at me. That's the same mentality, that same bully mentality, you know what I'm saying, that you had when you told him to get up out of here, right? So you just basically told on yourself. We see what type of character you and your daddy got, right?
And as parents, have you all struggled with guilt, asking yourselves, is there anything differently? I know, Kayla, you said you wish you had gone to that track meet, but as a trial has played out, is there anything that you both wish you could have done differently?
I wish I would have been rebellious and just do what
or listening to advice that you thought was.
Yeah, I was told, don't talk to this person. Don't talk to this person. I feel like it was just a setup. Now, like I said, they told us, go get white attorneys. Every black person I went to, white attorney. No white attorney, they set them up, pushed them. Hey, here you go. I mean, no objections. It was things were smooth. So because as a father of me being who I am, I got to make sure she's straight. This mama bear, I got to make sure she's straight mentally because if she's not straight, my house ain't straight. I'm not straight. Then so because I got the kids to worry about. Got to make sure his mental health. I can't go back and forth with him right in there because I don't think his mental can handle it. The misunderstanding of what dad is trying to take. This ain't a daddy moment. You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
It's not the time for me to be arguing with you about, hey, So I'm like, hey son, can you see? I know a lot of people say, well, I would have done this or I would have done that. You say that because you're not in that situation. So I couldn't do that, and me knowing my son, which is your child, correct? you see, I don't want him to maybe want to hurt himself because I don't know what he's dealing with. He's doing a great job. He's still in school. I'm keeping him busy. We trying to do stuff around the house. And one thing this thing did do with us, it brought our family closer.
Yeah.
Meaning I worked a lot. Well, I didn't work that much. I was home. I was home on weekends. But to her, I worked too much. But um I was able to have this time for us to be together.
Yeah.
And I think they did this to us because they wanted us to be in poverty. They wasn't expecting because the tables are turned. Me and her been together since high school. It's the other side who's divorced. So that picture they painted, the houses and the cars, that was the other side. That wasn't us. We just couldn't say nothing. And then when we did say something, it was like, oh, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, don't go lie. Hey, don't do this. Don't say this. Hey, people gonna say what they gonna say. So that's what. So no matter what we did, we was losing.
It
You
was a
know,
lose battle. You felt like it was a lose battle. Yeah.
And you can certainly understand where he's coming from, because it's like, number one, I got to manage, Karmelo, make sure, you know what I'm saying, he don't, trip out, go to hurting himself, because now he starts thinking negative, right? So you're trying to manage that, the wife is upset and all this type of stuff. You got all this stuff being portrayed out here on TV, right? So you're listening to the defense attorneys, and even though you may feel a certain type of way, no, we got to do it this way, da 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 da. Well, I can't do that, because if I mess up, you know what I'm saying, and they don't want to take care, and I tick them off, you know what I'm saying, and then they basically start working against me and all this and saying, oh, you can't work with him, he's this, whatever. Now it jeopardizes your son, So, you think about it, he been through it, right? Because you can, if you put yourself in his situation, you realize and understand, right? But then, like I said, when you finally see what it was, the narrative they've always told us, absentee black fathers, you know what I'm saying, being raised by single mothers, right? And then you got these, YNs, that don't, or hooligans, and you don't raise your children right and whatever and all this type stuff. But in this situation, the roles is reversed. Him and his wife was together since high school, right? They've been raising theirs. They've been doing good in society. But these two over here, you thinking, oh yeah, father, oh, this good white family. No. The boys done whooped the father. He ain't even, you know what I'm saying? He ain't even in their lives like that. Now all of a sudden he's getting money through all these accounts and buying stuff. Him and the mother, she buying stuff, you know what I'm saying? They capitalizing off of this, right? And their son, you know what I mean, is on camera, you know what I mean, making false statements, you know what I mean, even on the media when it all started happening. That he was sitting up here changing up his statement, saying that he, his brother died in his arms and all this type of stuff. They was falsifying the stories and stuff because the video shows that's not what happened, right? So again, you know what I mean? You can just see, you know what I mean? A bunch of, unrighteous people who basically, like he said, walked into this young man's life, changed everything, his whole future, whatever. Now he's locked up, but it cost you your son. You see what I'm saying? But you know what I mean? Hey, ain't the single absentee father and all this stuff. Y'all not focusing all on that in the media. You're not painting this narrative the same way it would have been had it been vice versa, right? This is the final clip, I think, and then we'll get out of here.
And I just have a few more questions for you. I want to, when the verdict came down, what was the first thought that went through your head?
I feel my son. I feel like, man, I felt like and I cried so much. I've held back and I told her, man, I'm that dad, like, hold it up, hold it up and be tight. I said, boy, you broke me. You broke me when it first happened. I never cried as much as I've cried. And it was just like when I seen him, when he grabbed it, I could still picture that man when he's saying it. He said it so smooth. Like the way he said it, the way he read that verdict, it was like, just, yeah, hey, yeah, as such and such, yeah, he's found guilty. It was just comfortable. It was comfortable. You could tell the way he read it was no, like, damn, it was, hey, look. And I told my attorney, like, yeah, we know. The hell you mean you know? But then if I act up, I'm the emotional black man. You follow what I'm saying? Oh, look at him. Then it would have been on breaking news. Oh, he done flashed out. Oh, look that's how they had it. We got him. So I had to humble myself. It wasn't just for me and my family. It was for all of us. Because if I would have flashed out the way I wanted to, oh, it would have been all that. You would probably be looking at that. God damn it, that boy done went up there after the fool. That's what they wanted.
Yeah.
So I played their game, and I'm just let you know their games don't work. It's not for us. The justice system not for us. They can't say we did anything out of what we was told. We follow all the instructions and we follow the law. It just don't work for us.
Mm-hmm. What do you say to the people who say
He's calling out?
Okay.
He's calling out.
Take it.
Thank God.
And there it is, right? You know, it's tragic, you know, and it's a sad story regardless. But like we say, when it comes to the Most High and His will for your life, you know what I'm saying? My thoughts are not your thoughts. My ways are not your ways. And people can look and, you know, this kid was on a straight, you know, course of, you know, being in, you know, what society would say, oh, he's exceptional or whatever. Then he gets into this altercation. Now, you know what I mean? Everybody's saying he's a criminal, he's a bad guy and all this type of stuff. But the Most High knows the thoughts and intents of the heart. He knows, right? And the bottom line is, you know, that's why I told you in the last video, it came to me. Moses had killed a person, right? Joseph was falsely accused and railroaded. But those two men, the Most High used them for a bigger purpose. We don't know how this thing will play out yet. You see what I'm saying? But, you know, Karmelo might be right where the Most High wants him to be, because he had to see this world and its wickedness for himself. See the evil, right? That's what I'm saying. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Now this family, the Anthony family, they see it. They can't unsee it, right? You know, we strangers in a foreign land. But again, right, I'm asking y'all, right? At the end of this video, you know what I'm saying? Go into the comment section, you know what I mean? And just say, fair trial, Karmelo. You know what I mean? I see it. I like it. I'll comment back to you. You know what I'm saying? That way we can try to, you know, generate some comments to see if we can get the video out, whatever, you know. But if I don't see your comment, now you know, right? If I don't respond, you will know I didn't see your comment. That's how they be trying to shut down, you know what I'm saying? Likes, comments, views, all this type of stuff. That's what they do. Because the last time we did this, they threw me off YouTube for a week. You know what I'm saying? So I don't care. It ain't about money. It ain't about views. It ain't about likes. It's about trying to, you know what I'm saying, put the truth out here and support people, you know what I'm saying, who've been wrongly, you know what I'm saying, conspired against, right? So with that being said, thanks again for watching. Most High bless each and every one of you. Till we meet again. Shalom.
Though I walk through the valley of death, shadows whisper, still in my breath. The ground feels cold, like it's alive. Each step a battle, just to survive. Though I walk alone, through the dark, through the storm. But I'm not afraid. No, I'm not afraid. No, I'm not afraid. A light inside, it's my barricade. The trees, they shiver, they bend and creak. The wind, it howls, the future bleak. Yet my heart beats loud, a steady drum. It tells the night I won't succumb. They can't break me, no they won't, no they won't. My soul's on fire, they don't know. Though I walk alone, through the dark, through the storm. But I'm not afraid, no I'm not afraid. No I'm not afraid. A light inside, it's my barricade. Mountains crumble, the skies might fall, but I'll rise through it all. Though I walk, though I'm not afraid, no, I'm not afraid, it's my best.